Mr. President.
The senator from Rhode Island.
Mr. President, I come here every week now for 72 consecutive weeks that the Senate has been in session to urge colleagues to wake up to the growing threat of climate change. And today I have the pleasure and honor of being joined by my friend and colleague, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. So I would like to ask unanimous consent that the senator from West Virginia and I be allowed to engage in a colloquy for the time that we've been allotted.
Without objection.
Senator Manchin and I come from different states in very different parts of the country. We're the ocean state, he's the mountain state. But we both came here today to say that climate change is real, that human activities, including the burning of fossil fuels, are causing dramatic changes to Earth's atmosphere and oceans, and to seek responsible solutions that will ensure reliable, sustainable energy for the United States and protect our local communities and economies from the worst effects of a changing climate, recognizing, as we must, that fossil fuels will be part of America's fuel mix for decades. The recent National Climate Assessment showed many effects of climate change already being seen across the United States. In my home state of Rhode Island, we have Narragansett Bay, more than 3 degrees warmer in the winter than it was 50 years ago. And measurements at the Newport tide gauge show that as the seawater warms and expands, sea level is up almost 10 inches against our shores since the 1930s. Extreme weather depends a lot on natural variability, but climate change increases the odds that heat waves and heavy rain bursts will occur. As the climate has warmed, some types of extreme weather have already become more frequent and severe. Here on this chart, we see that in the Northeast, up here, the area which includes both Rhode Island and West Virginia, between 1958 and 2010, the amount of rain coming in those big downpours has gone up by 70%. Let's remember, too, how climate change affects the economy and jobs. For example, fishermen in Rhode Island have seen their winter flounder catch from Narragansett Bay nearly disappear in recent decades as the bay has warmed. These are not distant climate model projections. This is now. This is happening to Rhode Island. The people of West Virginia have Senator Manchin fighting for them every day here in Washington. I know he believes that we need to find economically responsible answers to environmental problems. I am proud to stand with him today as his friend and colleague.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. President.
Senator from West Virginia.
Let me just say I'm pleased to join my friend, Senator Whitehouse from the great state of Rhode Island, to talk about this important subject. In the past, we may not always have agreed on how to approach this problem, but at least we've come together to work on a solution together, and that's very important. That's a rare thing in Washington, as you know, and we're determined to see if we can find common ground to move forward. As Senator Whitehouse suggests, the way we produce and consume energy in our states is quite different. I'm the mountain state, he's the ocean state. Nonetheless, we both agree that we need to strike a balance between the economy and the environment. One can't go it alone. It takes a balance, if you will, and about anything we do in life. One that acknowledges the reality of the climate change, and while also understanding that fossil fuels, more specifically coal, that we produce so much of in our state and such a part of our economy, is a vital part of our energy mix for decades to come. That's by the Department of Energy, the EIA zone claim. There's no doubt that 7 billion people have impacted our world's climate. Those who deny that, I believe, are wrong. And a lot of them are my friends. I believe that we've had an impact and we have a responsibility. But we need to know what's going on and the facts we're dealing with in the world today. There's more than 8 billion tons of coal consumed around the world each year. This gives you a little bit of an outline of where most of that coal is consumed. Currently, China burns more than 4 billion tons per year, and they're not stopping or letting up. If anything, they're increasing their consumption and building more coal-fired plants as we speak. while the U.S. and Europe each burn less than 1 billion tons. So the United States of America, you could say, is less than 1/8 of the coal consumed annually in the world. If we stop burning every ton of coal, would that really clean up the climate? But if we find ways to do it better, can we help the rest of the world clean up the climate? That's what we're here to talk about. There's a broad agreement in the scientific community that carbon emissions and other human contributions are causing substantial changes to the Earth's climate. According to the West Virginia State Climatologist Office, 5 of the 6 wettest years have occurred since 1989. 4 of the 6 warmest years occurred since 1990. And, just as I don't deny the existence of climate change, my friend, Senator Whitehouse, doesn't deny that eliminating coal from our energy mix would hurt the reliability of our gold. He knows that. You can't do it without. We've got to work together to keep the reliability into the system, which is so vital to people all over this country. Without coal, the northeast of the United States would have suffered severe and enduring power outages during the winter's polar vortex. If our reliability had failed during the polar vortex that we just came through this past year, there's no question people would have died. No question at all. Importantly, during that period of time, coal provided 92% of the increase in energy needed to survive the disaster. As coal was not able to go online to back up the grid, 92% of it was driven by coal because it is dependable, reliable, and is affordable. This chart shows basically the portion of the increase in U.S. electricity generation by fuel January and February, the times that we needed it the most to keep the system, the grid system, up and running. You can see coal at 92%. Natural gas fell because of distribution problems that we had. It will increase. It will get better as distribution and infrastructure is built. Oil, nuclear, hydro, renewables, you can see they weren't able to pick up the demand that was needed or the load that was needed to keep the system moving. Nick Akins is the CEO of the American Electric Power. He said this about the polar vortex: this country did not just dodge a bullet, it dodged a cannonball. We need to address climate change, but we need to do it while maintaining the reliability of our electricity system. Senator Whitehouse and I both realize that coal will remain a vital part of our nation's generation portfolio for the foreseeable future. According to the President's own Energy Information Administration, the EIA, coal generated about 40% of all U.S. electricity in 2011. In 2040, coal will still generate more than 30% of the domestic electricity that's needed. This chart basically shows you where we're going in the foreseeable future. This is clear up to 2040. By 2040, natural gas will be at 35%. Coal will still be at 32%. Both can be said out of fossil, so you have 67%. Renewables increase to 16%. Nuclear is going down to 16%, which I believe we have to re-engage our efforts there. I really do. So, coal will assume the dominant world markets for the foreseeable future. According to EIA, coal supplied 69% of China's total energy consumption in 2011. This gives you a little bit of an idea on this chart where we are. China used 4 times the amount of coal used in the U.S. that year. Coal supplied 41% of India's total energy consumption from India, during that period of time, used roughly the same amount of coal as we did in the United States. But by 2040, China will produce 62% of its electricity from coal, while India will produce 56%. During the next few years, some 1,200 new coal plants are going to be built across 59 countries. 363 are going to be built in China and 455 in India alone. It's just unbelievable when you look at more than 8 billion tons of coal is consumed around the world each year. China currently burns more than 4 billion tons per year, while the U.S. and Europe burn less than 1 billion tons. Use in these countries and in other parts of the world is projected to grow dramatically for decades to come. The U.S. has already been a leader in providing the world that we can produce coal cleaner today. Traditional pollutants, sulfur, mercury, nitrogen, and particulates, have been cut by 80% in the last several years. What is less known is that technologies are being developed, and some already exist, that dramatically lower coal plant carbon emissions. With smart investments from the public and private sectors, we will not only finish the first generation of carbon capture, storage, and utilization plants, but also develop the second generation of these technologies. When that happens, in the not-so-distant future, we will lead the world towards utilization of fossil fuels in a way that produces negligible or zero harmful emissions. With the right policies and the right coordination between the public and private sectors, we can lead by example and show the world that we can burn fossil fuels cleaner than ever. Most importantly, Mr. President, we can do all this while protecting consumers, creating jobs, and growing our economy.
I agree, Mr. President, with my friend. I agree with my friend from West Virginia that we must address climate change in a way that protects jobs in all sectors and ensures grid stability. Fossil fuels like coal and natural gas are indeed going to be an important part of America's energy mix for decades. So we need to invest, as Senator Manchin has suggested, in reducing the carbon pollution we generate from these sources. We also need to adapt our power infrastructure to withstand the effects of climate change. Extreme weather has become the main cause of blackouts in the U.S. The President's Council of Economic Advisors and the Department of Energy counted 679 widespread outages between 2003 and 2012 due to severe weather. 58% of power outages since 2002 and 87% of outages affecting 50,000 or more customers were caused by severe weather, such as thunderstorms, hurricanes, and blizzards. The average annual cost of power outages caused by severe weather is between $18 billion and $33 billion per year. The U.S. Energy Information Administration compiled data that is plotted on this chart, showing weather-related power outages are already on the rise since just the early 90s. Addressing climate change is also important to grid stability. We also should expand and modernize our electric grid. A smarter grid will make it easier to respond to and recover from extreme weather events. Will boost efficiency within the system, will help lower utility bills, and will bring more renewable energy online. In both our states, Senator Manchin and I realize it's in America's interest to be leaders in the research, development, and deployment of energy efficiency tools, in cleaner fossil fuel research, and in renewable energy technologies, particularly ones that we can export. And I know Senator Manchin has some of these technologies being rolled out in his state.
Thank you, Senator. And, Mr. President, when I was governor for West Virginia, we set and we have now achieved an alternative where we were going to reduce our carbon footprint by 25% by using coal in a cleaner fashion, and also some of the other things we do, which I'll explain. Not only did we do it, Mr. President, we did it 10 years early, 10 years earlier than what we had targeted for. In 2013, 4.1% of West Virginia's energy already came from hydroelectric and wind energy. Mount Storm Wind Farm, so many people don't know what we've done in our little state because we're all in. We want to do it all, and we're trying everything we have. The Mount Storm Wind Farm is the second largest wind farm east of the Mississippi, 17 miles across the beautiful landscape. I also agree with Senator Whitehouse on the importance of energy efficiency. With our friend Senator Hoeven from North Dakota, I've introduced the all-of-the-above Federal Building Energy Conservation Act, legislation that would improve the energy efficiency of federal buildings and set an example for all private sector. This legislation takes a common sense, all-of-the-above approach to the issue of federal energy efficiency. I believe that by encouraging the use of innovative technologies and practices, instituting reasonable goals, and allowing building managers flexibility, we can achieve better environmental stewardship in a cost-effective manner. As governors, Senator Hoeven, a Republican from North Dakota, and myself relied on common sense to guide our state policies. And this bill applies that much-needed common sense to federal policies. We should be using all of our abundant resources, including coal, to power our nation in the most efficient way possible. Our bill accomplishes this goal and proves the federal government can lead the way in using fossil fuels to achieve greater energy efficiency in a much cleaner fashion. While the efficiency and renewables are important, let me say again that it is most important to reduce emissions from coal plants while keeping them running well into the future. Advances in coal use technologies will continue to develop with help from the public sector. Enhanced oil recovery is already developing into a valuable tool for augmenting domestic oil production. We need federal investments for technologies such as EOR. Research is ongoing for the use of coal and CO2 for a multitude of new energy and consumer products, including fertilizers, liquid fuels, plastic materials. And I just had a gentleman come to my office that basically makes carbon out of coal, which cleanses the water that we drink. Unbelievable. So there's so many things, and Senator Whitehouse is right. There is so many things that we are using and can do an awful lot more.
Efficiency is something we take seriously in Rhode Island as well. In 2013, the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy ranked Rhode Island as the 6th most energy efficient state in the country. The Energy Information Administration in 2011 ranked Rhode Island the lowest in energy consumption, which is the presiding officer from the small state of Delaware can understand we have a bit of an unfair advantage in, but we were also the 6th lowest in total energy cost per capita. We do our part to save energy, avoid emissions, lower costs, and reduce demand and stress on the electric grid. Rhode Island and 8 other states participate in the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, RGGI we call it, which caps carbon emissions and sells permits to emit greenhouse gases to power plants. One of the ways that Rhode Island's been able to drive down our energy consumption and our utility bills is by investing the money generated through RGGI into energy efficiency. Rhode Island invests over 91% of its RGGI proceeds in energy efficiency projects and improvements, helping residents save money on their utility bills and making small businesses more competitive. Rhode Island is also poised to gain scores of jobs from the development of offshore wind. I think we have the advantage on West Virginia in offshore wind. Our private developer of offshore wind, Deepwater, has received its first major environmental permit to begin deployment in the Block Island wind farm area. The price of wind energy has decreased over 90% since the early 1980s and is now competitive in the energy markets. I am working to make wind energy more a part of our energy portfolio. At the federal level, our energy policy must use the best science available to improve the way we use fossil fuels, and our tax code should help address climate change while leveling the playing field for various energy sources. I believe carbon-driven climate change hurts our economy, damages our infrastructure, and harms public health. Yet those costs are not factored into the cost of fossil fuels. That means the cost of the pollution has been borne by the public. I believe we should adopt a carbon fee to correct this market failure and return all its revenue to the American people, what Republican supporters of a carbon fee call revenue neutral. On a smaller scale, Congress can also extend the renewable energy tax credits and other measures that are supported by members on both sides of the aisle, helping renewable energy in West Virginia and a bipartisan array of states.
Thank you, Senator. Senator and I disagree on a few things, but I adamantly disagree with Senator, my dear friend Senator Weiss, regarding the wisdom of a carbon fee or so-called carbon tax. But I do agree that we can use the tax code and other federal incentives to help clean up fossil fuels. That's why we're here together, to find that pathway. First, the DOE must approve $8 billion in loan guarantees for advanced fossil fuel projects that they've had available since 2005, and none of it's been invested, to try to help use the fuel that we depend on, coal, in a much better, cleaner fashion. Also, I found out that we also have $3.2 billion Senator, that from the stimulus money to be used for shovel-ready coal projects that's still setting and hasn't been invested. So there's an awful lot that we can do without appropriating any new money, just using the money that's been there for the purpose it was intended to do. New tax incentives could be employed to incentivize providers to update subcritical plants to the super and ultra supercritical configurations that pave the way for CCS. Finally, we need to incentivize the second generation of CCS technology, the one that holds a future for the promise of coal use with negligible emissions. And what we're talking about, carbon capture sequestration just being used for that purpose if you don't have a secondary source to where you can put it and sell it for enhanced oil recovery, as we call, the technology that we could use in the shell that maybe could enhance the gas from the shells, that the Utica and Marcellus that we have in West Virginia. So much could be done that we haven't gone. Maybe we could solidify the carbon and use it as a spent fuel. These are things we need to get to, and this money laying right now in the Department of Energy for almost 10 years needs to be invested. And with your help, Senator Whitehouse, I can only thank you that we can move forward and find a solution.
I agree with the distinguished senator from West Virginia that the Department of Energy's Advanced Fossil Projects Loan Guarantee Program has not yet lived up to its potential, and I will work with him to push the administration to accelerate its use. I would like to close my share of this colloquy by noting something very basic, and that is that America has long stood before the world as an exceptional country, and deservedly so. America proved the case for popular sovereignty with no need of kings or crowns. America took our balanced market capitalism and rode to international economic dominance. America has long been the vanguard of civil and human rights for our people and around the globe. And when American military power must be used, we don't conquer and rule, we come home. This exceptional nature confers upon us a responsibility to lead, to be an example, to be, as President Reagan said, a shining city on a hill. Our generation will be judged by whether we were responsible about climate change, whether we listened, and whether we led. Senator Manchin and I are both committed to the idea that American innovation can create the clean energy technologies of the future, that when it comes to addressing the biggest problems facing our world, the United States should be out front. And we are committed to working together to find responsible solutions to the climate crisis. We also realize that we have different perspectives on what those solutions should look like. I live in a state that is harmed by carbon pollution, and Senator Manchin is from a state that sees economic benefit from coal. We believe we could both learn more about those different perspectives. So I am committing today to travel with Senator Manchin to West Virginia to see the coal plants that power many parts of our country and meet the people there working to curb pollution and improve efficiency. And I invite Senator Manchin to Rhode Island to see how climate change is taking its toll on our shorelines and marine industries. America is still a beacon to the world because ultimately we have the ability to work through disagreements to common ground on a shared platform of fact. With the commitment of serious leaders like Senator Manchin, I am confident that we can move forward to an energy future that preserves the economy and quality of life in West Virginia, in Rhode Island, and for all Americans.
Senator's time has expired.
We ask unanimous consent that Senator Manchin have such time as he needs to conclude our colloquy.
Should be within 3 or 4 minutes.
Without objection.
Thank you, Senator. And again, let me just say to my dear friend, Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island, I look forward to coming to his beautiful state of Rhode Island and visiting all the things that they're doing and the efficiencies that they have and technology that they're incorporating. I also look forward to showing him off my beautiful state of West Virginia and the great people. We've both visited each other's states before, so we know a little bit how good our states are, so it's going to be great to revisit. I want to thank him also for joining me today on the floor. We continue to have this extremely important dialogue. if Senator Whitehouse and I can start looking for a pathway, then I'm sure friends from all different sides of the aisle can join us. That's what we're trying to help happen here. I agree with Senator Whitehouse. The United States of America has long stood before the world as an exceptional country that people look up to. We have reigned as the dominant world power and have played the role of the world's leader for more than 200 years. Coal use is expanding across the globe, and we need to face that reality. And we must take our position as a world leader in brokering solutions, knowing that the rest of the world is going to use this product more than ever before. To find the balance of the environment between our concerns and our economic prosperity. It's going to happen. We should be that leader also. The solution for the U.S. is to develop the technology that will allow us to use the fuels we need cleanly and to export that technology to the world. Yes, West Virginia and Rhode Island are indeed different in many ways. But most importantly, Senator, you and I both know they're both part of this great country. And that is what makes America great. We can deliberate and challenge each other's position on any one issue, and we sure have had our share of dogged debates on the issues of climate change and energy issues. But when it comes to deciding what's best for our future generations and our beautiful earth, there is always room for reasonable compromise and a way forward. So as we continue to work diligently in the Senate, I also look forward to visiting again with him, and we will make that happen sooner than later. And once again, I want to thank Senator Whitehouse for coming to the table to establish a truly common sense, all the above energy policy that acknowledges the vital role coal must play moving forward. This energy strategy will also help protect good-paying jobs, boost our economy nationwide and around the world, and improve the quality of life of all living things. We're going to fix this together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. As the world leaders, we always have been. We've been going to find the balance, and we will find the balance and show not only America, but the world that we can look past our differences to better this world. And I look forward so much to that, and we both have looked at it from this standpoint. We both agree that working together and basically agreeing that we have a responsibility in this world and this country to be a leader again and finding a pathway to using the energy the good Lord gave us in the best balance that we can with the economy and environment and clean up the environment that we're responsible for. So I thank my good friend, and with that, I would yield the floor.